Down here in the laws and that.
Could I ask you one question here to start with? Is this for a county comprehensive plan?
Yes,
Okay, Indiana code states that the plan commission should originate that. If the commissioners want a revision of the comprehensive plan, they have to direct the plan commission to do so. Yeah,
The plan commission is the, I mean, that we follow the process. But once that's all completed, after plan commission goes through the steps, design the plan, and then has a public hearing and approves it, then it's sent to the legislative body. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with the commissioner's involvement, and it's generally you need to ask the engineering firms here that generally need to revise and look at the comprehensive plan by every 5 years. I think we're pretty long overdue. So,
and I don't think we ever have one.
yes, I've got it right.
We do have one.
When
When,
I was plan commission chairman, that'd been about 2007.
the the comprehensive plan is the first step to having the zoning ordinance. So we,
See, that plan commission officially disbanded and it was brought back up, so I don't.
no, you're doing what's right.
Right.
You need, it's just the
Right, okay.
well, I guess, I know talking to Dudley and some of the other council, they were wanting to hear the proposal
yeah, no,
of
that's
this. So if it needs to go to the plan commission, we can certainly do that. I'm not, we're not voting on anything
Well,
today.
this is just information.
Yes.
And-
Okay.
But I want to make sure that everybody understood the process of these plan commission can make a recommendation.
Yes.
The commissioners, at that point, the commissioners can accept, reject, or accept in
Right.
part. And there's a process, if you want to redo it yourself, you can literally reject it and do it yourself as commissioners.
Okay.
Jim, where do you get that information? Where's that provided for all of us to review?
I think, well, have papers. When I was plan commission chairman, I utilized Ball State, Purdue, Farm Bureau, but my largest resource was American Planning Commission, Indiana chapter. And I've thrown most of that stuff away. I'm lucky I've got that's what I have left.
I just mean the counting process. Where's the documentation for the?
It's the 500 series of the planning statutes. I can email it to you.
Thank you. The American Planning Commission, Indiana chapter has a lot of good resources for that. And I would suggest that we buy, they have a book. Go to that, I would suggest that books be purchased for the commissioners, council, and planning commission.
Thank you, Mr. McKee.
You're welcome.
That is one of the elements that we've included in our plan, was to engage the planning commission on a.
I was just surprised at the last meeting that it was brought up. That's why I'm speaking to it right now.
So since your original plan is 15, 16 years out of date, our intent was to engage the planning commission with a 5-part process in the contract. The first part of that being assess existing plans, comprehensive plans and statutes and codes within the county. The second was a rather robust community engagement plan that included engaging planning commission, stakeholder meetings, and hold a couple other meetings. The third element would be to assemble priorities and other important matters in the plan for future improvements, whether it be infrastructure type projects. There were a handful of potential items that would be included, including prioritizing spending, funds for capital projects. The fourth item would be draft, and then the final element of that plan, fifth and final, would be adoption, which would be re-engaging the planning commission and county council once we get everything hammered out. So just in brief, that's kind of what the intent was. I've been involved local government, city and county government for 25 years, and prepared a number of these as a part of local government agencies. We're planning on following the format of Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs. Oprah has a typical format that they follow, so we anticipate following that format as close as we can with the funding.
That being said, the reason he's here is so that we can move forward. I think we need the support of the council, in order to spend funds to get it initiated. But like he said, it will go before the planning commission.
So what is your process? How are you gonna start this plan? Where are you guys going?
So as soon as we get it over to proceed, we'll initiate stakeholder meetings. There'll be a citizens committee appointed or key stakeholders appointed, but I'll also engage planning commission. That's one of the first priorities.
Back up. Really good picture what a comprehensive estimate is and what it isn't.
I don't prefer the term living document, but I'm going to use that. It kind of sets the stage for priorities within the county. For future growth, plan forward for future growth, establish priorities within the county for any type of development or identification, preliminary identification of capital project in moving forward. So in my involvement with such plans in the past, it's our intent to give you something that's shelf ready. The ability, if someone else wants to pick up, once the initial plan is available or adopted, pick up and move forward with that, to give the planning commission, county and commissioners a plan to move forward with future growth and planning improvements within the county. Answer your question?
Or to answer that question, I've been about chapter 7 from American Planning Commission. It outlines a very good discussion about that. And the reason I'm speaking to this, maybe I should have backed up at the council's initial meeting and this year, reorganization meeting, they appointed me as a representative from the county council planning commission. So that's what I'm speaking to this right now.
It'll identify needs and goals and prioritize those within, a written framework that we can adopt and kind of follow, path in the future with it.
The council isn't against a comprehensive plan, correct?
We don't know that. We like to hear,
Yeah,
before we start thinking about positive things or negative things, it's like to hear I'm positive for it.
yeah,
So we have to have it.
Right.
We're 16 years out of date and almost all the counties who develop and use the different economic development tools and everything that's available to county governments. It's all based on your comprehensive plan. And the reason for my question on what a comprehensive plan is and isn't, it's not a zoning ordinance and it's not law on, it is just, it's a planning document. And then in the whole scheme of the statutes for planning and zoning, everything is based off of your comprehensive plan, and he's talking about the stakeholder meetings and community meetings, and when it's done right, and you have good consultants that help you get through it, should get lots of input from people all over the county, and you have it's some ways it's kind of a wish list. Hey, we want factories in this part of the county. I mean, that's a wish list because how hard it is to get manufacturing to come, but you are planning, but you have to have it. Ours is out of date. So if we had a chance for a project and where some big company wants to come in with 500 jobs, and we need to use the different statutes for the process to apply for grants and everything. The first thing that Okra or these groups are gonna say is, hey, send us your comprehensive plan, and ours is gonna say 2008 or 9, and that's gonna be a problem.
John, just one general comment, look at quote by John Wooden. somebody maybe heard it, the legendary coach said, when opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. And so I guess, John, when you try to get your arms around all these issues, do you try to get your arms around all these issues, or do you have one plan where it says we're going to explore A, B, C, D? Next, step 2, we're going to explore E, F, G, H. It seems so overwhelming to get your arms around housing, economic development, childcare, quality of life, parks and recreation, workforce development. I mean, this goes on and on and on. What's been your experience?
In my experience, these have been used for what the county attorney previously stated, to get your foot in the door for future grants, but it doesn't regulate land use. It doesn't, tell anybody what they can or can't do with their land. It just lays groundwork for recreational activities, future business growth. It'll identify where the major movements in the county are to and from. Where does your workforce, where does the workforce generate, go to, and come from within the county? It'll identify holes potentially in your planning and zoning ordinances. It won't necessarily fix those. It'll be able to provide the public input for maybe improving, potential holes that are identified in the stakeholder meetings. They normally should be done. These should be updated once every 4 to 5 years, so you're quite a bit out of date with, keeping up on them. So we're going to work from the existing one, massage it and bring things back, and then engage everybody, for what they see, what they've seen the county change from the last version.
Thank you.
Your question.
Yeah, I thought maybe I could add a little color from a different perspective. Dale, to answer your question, I think this is kind of a baseline that everyone has to start with. And these agencies require that, I believe it's less than 6 years old. And so they really won't even consider them if they're older than that. The city of Attica had 3 of these over time. They just kept doing it. And then at some point they realized they could execute on something wasn't, weren't actually executing. We were just doing the study. And so we need this for any federal grant for sure, and some state grants, but also we'll take whatever effort, John does, if we move forward with economic development, and we'll develop actual products that will come from this. So he's basically creating the platform and the conversation and, all of the tools we need to take it to the next step.
Who's on the planning commission and who makes appointments? I know council has one appointment.
We appointed them.
Council commissioners. I've got to make a rule. Then a trustee or something.
I actually started it back.
Was it 15 or 16 when you started?
I can't remember. It's probably my second year in, so.
At least 2016, I think, is when it.
Kyle Crowder is the president. Nancy Tuggle. Jacob McGraw. Sue Ann Anderson. Jim and myself.
Suzanne, Jade,
Jacob,
Glenn, Nancy, and Roger.
Glenn Walker.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
And
What we tried to do when we initially set it up was get representation from all of the county. And I think we've done a pretty good job getting north to south, central.
we're only missing one representation from the extension. But due to our extension educator living outside the county, he's not eligible. But the extension board is eligible to appoint one of their members to represent extension service. So they
I
have.
thought one of the people, I can't remember who it was, Jake McGraw or somebody, thinking he might, is he supposed to be 8 on there? Total of 8 or 9
On ours, and advisory county is 9.
9, okay, and we've only got 8 then?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I missed somebody, I only have to say,
I've got the minutes. I am going to try and have the minutes printed off from all the planning commission meetings and give to everybody. I've got these currently, but I didn't want to take up so much time this morning for any documents, so I didn't get that done.
Yeah, Laura Bush.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Speak up.
That's all we're at.
There's there's just
It's the- it's all we're at.
oh, I thought it was. Well, I have this packet open. I also have as a document for the zoning ordinance for solar energy facilities, so you can reference that.
Anything else, that we can add?
Pretty much covered everything. Thank you for the questions.
No.
Questions, Fanny?
So you'll present to the planning commission and then get their approval, then they'll make recommendations to the commissioners, and then they'll go to us for planning board, is that?
Well, I think what he's needing today is a commitment from the county to proceed.
The budget was $50,000,
55.
55,000.
And I know Warren County, they did not go the Oker route, they paid for it on their own, a comprehensive plan. And that's not an uncommon amount from what I'm hearing from other counties.
The other thing I didn't see, and maybe it was in there, I missed it, but I know on the company that's doing the design for Maple Corner building, we set a maximum amount. Is there a maximum amount? Because I saw all the dollar per hour fees, but I didn't see.
Towards the back, I thought I seen something about. To exceed or something. That's correct, John?
Yeah, there's an amount to exceed.
Yeah, we do have that on there, and that's what we have on a lot of our on calls, not to exceed.
Everything is stuff.
Was it on separate? I know he's got a breakdown.
So what you're wanting from the council is that approval that we will pay for it once if plan commission approves and commissioners approve. Is that what I'm hearing you're wanting?
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, yeah.
Does the comprehensive plan look at the county services and infrastructure, things like that?
Yes.
Okay, yes,
So it looks at a broad spectrum of things, correct?
yes, yes.
Okay.
What's the period of time that they was to do? I saw 2 to 5 years at a certain fee on my email.
Well, it's gonna take some time, for him to, go on to each phase that he talked about.
What's the actual plan? In a perfect world.
6 months to a year. It's gonna take some time to organize public meetings. That's gonna be the long. And go through the feedback. So the long lead time item is gonna be public engagement and getting things, getting the meetings set up, and get through the meetings.
What's that?
Publishing the once a week paper it takes. Some strategic moves to get it there and we want it. My only concern with the plan is when it says what they're gonna do for meetings, is they're gonna have one meeting with the steering committee, which I don't have commissioners and whatever. 2 public meetings to gather information and final meeting with the steering committee. I worry that 2 public meetings for people that might show up isn't enough to get a true feel from the county of what our needs are. I'd like to see a little more information.
One county has several meetings.
Yeah, I
For the
think
public
2 meetings is
Yeah. I recommend for council and commissioners, you try to attend almost every meeting that they have. Because there's a lot of questions the public brings up that you guys can answer for. And it puts them at ease to understand more what we're trying to do, what you're trying to do. We need to see the.
Yeah, I think it's very
more
important.
He hasn't put a note there. I think, yeah, we had talked about making sure we covered, ends of the county and where they were gonna be. And I think that we anticipated, not leaving. I don't mean to leave anybody out or leave anything short, but one in the southwest part of the county, the other in the northeast part of the county, and kind of splitting it up like that. But if you want to add another third, I mean, the numbers are, right there, it's additive with that third meeting. So if you'd like to add a third, you have no trouble doing that.
Does that help?
Yeah,
I think at least Kevin and Petersburg Attica should have a.
yeah.
It's really all,
I'm saying
Amen.
north, south, north, central,
Amen.
south, England, Petersburg, whatever.
And you need to make sure you have it not at 9 o'clock in the morning, but in the evening so everybody can come.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, what's the council's thoughts on then approving, provided it goes through all the channels?
My only thought is, prior to being a council member, what I learned was that a commitment from the council at this stage is not binding. When I was here regarding the trail project, and so I'm supportive of this, but I just want John to know and others to know. My personal experience prior to the council was that whatever decision you make today is not binding. I mean, if that's your recollection as well. In regards to the Ready Grant. So I'm 100%
well, and
supportive.
yeah, you're absolutely right. But there never was a vote not to fund that part. They talked about it. There was no vote.
I just don't want,
So it's still on as far as I'm concerned.
I just don't want someone to be in the same boat I was in.
Right,
believing
right.
It was a.
I mean, The only commitment I think that you would be making today is if they get in so much time and hours on this, that they will be paid for their time up to the date you cut it off. That would be with any contract.
I make a motion.
My question is what budget is going to come out of the plan committee, budget is shot already.
We'll have to, I mean, we're talking a few months down the road, we'll have to look at what funds we have and.
I'd like to have a chance just to read this. I don't want to be voting on anything. I see the importance of it. You made a key statement a while ago. You want to know what's coming in and what's going out and how we're working with it. From my standpoint, I want to know more about it. Is it John?
Yes.
John, I want to know more. I see the importance of it, but today, I don't know about the rest of the council. I want to take a little bit more time to look at this. Okay.
I think we have such a right.
I make a motion to move forward.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move forward with the plan
Contingent.
contingent that it goes through the. Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So you abstaining?
I'll abstain.
Okay. So 6-0.
Maybe Tom quick these a little bit. We're probably one of the only counties in the state of Indiana without one. And again, I know, I understand that's fine if you want, that's fine. I'm just saying that everybody else has.
But I don't want things coming at me. I want to make sure I'm covered with it. I want Fountain County to move forward and all the way. I can, but I want to be stable. When I put my hand up to vote, I'll be with them.
Okay, fantastic.
I've got
because I think every county they should have one, but we've had two. I know one that was adopted in 1972. And one that just started when I was planning to be chairman, and they were just ignored.
I can see that happen too. Well, maybe not now.
Okay.
I just have, excuse me, one more item. The Fountain Trust. In order to get online, an inquiry for the auditors, the sheriff's department. There's a contract. You don't look at it, I'll be the one signing it. It makes it hard to do some of the reports and everything in a timely manner, because when the statements come to you. Transactions online or anything, is that correct? Basically, just you, just doing. No transfer. Any benefit for you for treasurer, auditor, and sheriff department. So I think we need a motion to approve that agreement with commissioners, and then I'll sign on behalf of the chief.
I'll make a motion to accept the Fountain Trust corporate cash management agreement.
All second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Do you guys have anything else?
Terry Holt. Tax, he's got 42 in jail paying today, total of 80. Total of 80, but 42 we're making money off.
Awesome. And so. We want to take a.
Can the council move into their regular meeting, get some of the stuff out of the way prior to the keep rolling? Yeah, yeah.
You just have to have it here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But let's, and I know it's farther along in our agenda, but I want you guys to hear. I've got questions in this enterprise lease. It looks like we only sold 5 vehicles. But we're leasing 13. Where are the other 8 of our vehicles? Do we now have 21, or do we only have? Yeah.
The majority of their fleet is absolutely wore out. Okay, so those 5 that we traded back in to get the new one, they were worth trading in. Everything else wasn't worth trading in, or they needed the vehicle for like an asphalt truck. Throw asphalt in the back of it. It might be a 2012, but it was good enough to throw asphalt in the back of it. So either the trucks are either gone, either junk, or we're getting ready to sell some of them.
You have 4 of the older trucks.
Okay, there's 4 of these.
There's something sold. County.
Yeah. The rest of them will get scrapped out. So last sale, they were sold at the last sale. County's not having one come up. That was 12. The 5, the 4, and the 3. Right? Yeah, and we.
Okay.
Yeah, but there was 12. 2 of those are service trucks, which were totally loaded out with, generators, pumps, or air compressors, places for welding torches. And then one was the bridge truck, which has different things on it too. So, and then 9 of them would have been for the general fleet.
Okay, then we got of the 13 that we're leasing. 4 of them are 5-year leases and 9 are just 1-year lease. So are we renewing the lease every year on those then?
Make it look like they're up in a month or.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 60 months and 12 months.
The plan is to rotate everything probably but the 2 service trucks, and the bridge truck every 3 years. Therefore, keeping them in good equipment. And having something of value when we trade in. And I can have them come and tell you guys how it works. Montgomery does it, Warren does it. Private businesses in the area, used to be a commissioner, Bain Equipment, every Bain Equipment, RUC and truck, lease from Enterprise.
That's
And
not
it's
true.
not,
That's not true.
not everyone, not all, okay. Okay, maybe I should not say all of them. I have been told their fleet is Enterprise.
A lot of companies do a balance, where they'll finance some that they own, you know,
Okay.
some, that's pretty common for companies, but they,
Okay.
most of them don't do all.
Okay. Well,
Could we
And-
get Enterprise in here and then maybe at our next month's meeting?
sure.
Answer
And if
questions.
we, you know, for these 13 trucks, if we would have budgeted 100,000 a year for 2 pickups from the beginning, it probably would work better, but that's basically what you're paying. You're getting 2, let's just say 3 trucks, and you're getting 13.
At the end of the lease term, do we have the option to purchase or trade in to do another lease?
And I don't want to speak too much on this, but we are, it's only lease for legally. Enterprise, the way this is set up, Fountain County has title, or will, I mean, we have title.
Yes, title comes in our name.
We can do whatever we want. The thing, what reason it works is you keep trading in and saying good equipment, stuff that's not breaking down all the time. And in this day and age, for what we pay employees, you know, everybody needs a little more money. But to keep employees happy, and these guys are proud of these trucks, I've looked at them, they're taking care of them. I mean, the old stuff they had was too dangerous to drive down the road, to be quite honest. I can't even believe the insurance company didn't look at them and say, these things are unsafe. So. Yeah, I can clarify.
Yeah. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Explained about these weeks, because I really like to know what it says 12 months.
Well, like I said, it's not truly a lease. We can do whatever we want, but 3-year rotations plan.
And then the heavier trucks that are 60 months, is that every 5 years then for those? They're gonna be
They're talking the 30 or 20,
35. Yeah.
That's
fine.
That's the 3 serve, 2 serve second, that one of them you drive or you go to 2,500.
We have 2 service trucks, and we have 3 service trucks.
I think he's asking what was the original plan on keeping them instead of 3 years, is that a 5-year rotation or 7-year? What was their plan?
It was just my opinion that since we deck these trucks all out, we keep them longer.
Yeah.
But we can do, like I said, we can do whatever we want every year. So,
Yeah, because on some of those, we had to purchase extra things to go
that's what I'm
on.
saying, the tanks, the generators, the air compressors. The common lift gate, where the guys aren't lifting 400 or 500 pound wheels and tires and work comp claim. Stuff like that, save on that, yeah. And they're actually set up for service trucks.
Tim, so therefore these 5 trucks are junk
No,
that you traded in?
Oh, no, they were been 3 years old, all. They were.
Well, that's what I see a 2000.
No, I'm not saying they were junk. I said everything else they had on fleet, was they didn't want, we couldn't even, they didn't want to take any of that.
For example, my neighbor works for the county, the truck that he brought home I wouldn't want them to take it down the road. I mean, it was rusted out. I'm not so sure it wasn't held together with some kind of wire or something. I'm not exaggerating. I mean, it is in bad shape. I mean, that's what they were driving.
The one, like the guy right down the street from me had a truck, he worked for Camellos. I saw that truck. And I understand. But I was just looking at these Rams and they were.
No, they were the nice ones, yeah, and they gave us, we made more money for those. I'm not gonna, I believe on every one of those. We made more than we paid for them. It was during that time where pickups were way up.
So just to go back, Tom, there was 5 newer trucks traded. We kept 4 that didn't go anywhere that they still have, and 3 of them was sold in a previous sale. So there was 12 total that was accounted for.
See, we don't get that. We didn't get
Yeah, Jason just said that. That's how I have it.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that either.
And so I see a figure here, Colleen, 190 minus 196,000.
That would be correct.
That would be.
Trading.
And so now, there's a fee that we owe 94 something.
Paying the lease payment with that credit invoice.
Right,
Credit invoice is now down to 13,000 and something.
okay.
And it's about $9,000 and something a month. So I'm just preparing for March to have money, because nothing was appropriated in 2023's budget for this lease. So I'm gonna have a bill come due with no funds.
At what we traded in.
You want it?
The lease has been being paid by
Right.
what we traded in,
Right.
and now it's not.
You got enough. Hey,
I have for February. February's includes, it has not come off that 13,000.
oh, okay.
So I will have part of March's payment, but not all, not 100% of it.
So at that point, all of our credit will be. Okay.
So we've gotta do something to make the payment. I think we can still have enterprise coming and explain stuff for the future, but we've gotta make these payments or.
You know what, you know what, if it all been done, all this would have been taken care of ahead of time, it would have. I think it's a lack of communication, you know, I see 12, 13 trucks being, leased. And didn't get a comment as to, we got text. But I kind of wanted the commission to come to the council and say, hey, we're gonna get these trucks, we need them, we've got a lot of trash out there, and we need to replace. And we don't want to put these guys on the road and put them in danger in any way. We're doing a lot of things, summer, winter, whatever. I just would like to have somebody come here and say, we need these guys. And have Jason with you. That's all my comment was about. And this would have been done.
We did.
We did.
I'll tell you what.
We did.
And it
I
was
must
under,
not
and
get
it
it.
was. Later, it was misunderstood again. So I don't know, Tom. I mean, we brought Enterprise, we met with you.
Enterprise. is
No.
not right here to do that.
Well, they met with
And we
us.
set up a meeting for Jim Lee and Tom to meet with you guys and Enterprise, and no meeting was ever set up.
No, I never met with anybody.
No, but we, commissioners, we did meet with you.
I get my meetings mixed up with health insurance and everything else. I was thinking,
I don't
I
remember
was
when I
thinking
did
you
it.
might have been in an enterprise meeting with Tom, and I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
I'm not gonna debate that here
Oh,
today.
no.
I'm just saying to you that
No, we'll get it done. We'll have a next meeting. I'll have them at your next
Do you
meeting.
want
if you will just communicate, I think it would be done. That's all.
yeah, we could probably set it.
Okay. Yep.
You're not.
Right.
Just my only. The only thing I would point out is this Crowder's right, we have a contract, and we have an amount coming due. And it's an unfunded liability, so we either need to identify the accounts from which that can be paid for, or there needs to be an additional appropriation, or we'll breach the contract.
Andrew?
Yes, don't share those donuts or you.
When meeting was starting, I saw this. And I didn't even remember. Yeah.
I guess I should have brought more donuts, huh? This is kind of a joke that I brought for him.
I can't see Andrew eating those donuts.
I can't either.
About a Coke.
Yeah. Next October, vacation.
How's the weather?
At some point. So I think we should-
You must not heard.
Okay, so we have our council budget. Money under equipment, we could use that to make the March payment less the remainder of the credit, and then April, we can decide where we're gonna take the funds after we like it.
You're talking about,
Right, okay with that?
talking about 13,000 credits, so
Well,
that we haven't figured out.
13,000, yes, but we have a 9,000, so we have 4,000. So we're gonna be short 5,000 to 6,000, take that out of our equipment budget. Council, and then in April, after we've talked to enterprise, we can decide on the monthly, and after that.
I'll second.
Second, okay, all those in favor?
Hi.
I didn't know, we agreed. I second.
I'll be there. That way you get March payments. Oh,
Yeah.
Jeff?
Yeah, I was fine.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so that takes care of that, and move on, get some of those things done before. Okay, minutes, everyone had a chance to look at the joint meeting minutes with commissioners from February 13th. There a motion to approve those? Second, Kelly, all those in favor?
Aye.
Kelly. And that's joint. Did we have? Do we have any good times?
Yes,
Okay, glad to see that. There's one.
no, it was just the one.
Oh, that's all we have.
That's all you had.
Okay.
Which from the two, that's the
This is for the joint minutes, but we have two sets of signed, but one goes in our book, one goes in the commissioner's book. Okay, review and acknowledge Clark's monthly report for January 2023. Is there a motion to acknowledge that? Jim, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Review and acknowledge treasurer's bank reconciliation and monthly comparison report for February 2023. Is there a motion to that? Say Dale. Kelly, second. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Report of collections is submitted. Acknowledge the report of collections for the clerk, health department, recorder, and sheriff for the month of January 2023. Is there a motion to acknowledge those? Second. Jim, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have a transfer request, the auditor from postage to dues, $115.68. And the recorder from office supplies, the dues $5.31. Is there a motion to approve that transfer? Thanks, Ally and Denise, all those in favor?
Aye.
Ambulance. Boring asking. Guard.
We got two quotes, got one from Romer's. This will be replacing, picking up the old that's in there now, everything in the building. Replacing with brand new, be the laminate floor. I don't think of what it is actually. Romer's come in at 15,500, patents come in at the 12,914. So, I talked to you guys at the last council, I went back to the commissioners with that, they approved the patents, but come back to you guys to decide where you want to pull the fund to replace that.
The commissioners voted on that?
Yes, they did at the last meeting.
Okay. So, we could take that out of our capital. How much money we have? This is spend any out that. Okay, is there a motion to pay for that out of our building repairs fund? Yes. Kelly, motion, Denise, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Stage. Now. Yeah, well, let's see, the department is.
Yeah.
Joe, you have anything? Garth, you have anything else?
Just thank you for doing that. Also too, just part of some couple other things. Our parking lot is way overdue to be sealed. There's a section on the south end of the building, more towards the west, is going to have to be totally replaced, put new asphalt in. I did get a quote from Hester Paving. It was like $13,200. I did get it the day after you and I talked. And then I've got some lights, outside lights, the pole lights are out. We replaced one on the south end about 5 years ago with an LED. We didn't do the rest, but I've got some out that we're going to have replaced. I got Ricketts coming in and giving us a quote on that. And so there could be, you may have to come back and ask for propose to these guys the cost on that. Jason and them did fix our approaches into the entrance last fall, but the rest of the parking lot needs to be sealed. We got some pretty good sized cracks in there. If we don't get sealed up, we're gonna probably lose that parking lot. So as soon as I get those all put together, I'll bring them to these guys, but may have to come back for funding for that too. I tell these guys this morning, I got a phone call last week from our representative on the ambulances. The remount, Ford canceled the order on the chassis because it can't get parts. We could wait 2 months and reorder, but what they're saying is they're probably gonna cancel again. So he got a quote put together for a Chevy and a Dodge. We looked them over, we're gonna go with the Chevy. There's no additional cost, it'll be the same, but it'll be a Chevy Silverado. It's got the Duramax diesel with the Allison transmission in it. I think it's a 4,500, so it'll fit. So we will go with a Chevy instead of a Ford. The two new ones at Horton, as far as we know, they did not cancel the order on the Ford chassis on them, so they'll stay.
He said if they do, they'll call, but Horton's a bigger company, so they are more inclined to get the chassis. The remount is that company, Donnelly Safety's doing it, so they're a smaller company. So they're gonna be the first ones that are gonna get eliminated. So that's why they got eliminated on that. So, let you guys know, we had to go with the Chevy instead of the Ford on the remount. But he said there's no additional cost.
Timeframe still looking the same?
Still looking the same. We thought, we heard through, and I heard in December, we thought they were gonna start. Get there, the Ford was getting chassis, but sounds like they're back on a standstill now. So we're probably still at that 650, 250 days, and then the remount. Work with him this week. It might come in quicker. We may have to send that truck over. It may be the first one instead of the two new ones, but I'll keep you guys updated on that when that comes through. Okay, so other than that, we're staffing. I did get to hire a new full-time paramedic. She starts this week, and so that'll fill in my vacant paramedic spot. I still have 2 out on FMLA and 1 on workman's comp. So a lot of fill in right now, but I think 1's coming back off FMLA this week, so that'll help. It's put a pretty good gouge in my budget.
So where you had a class, is that correct?
Yes, we just finished up an EMT class, 10 of them. All 10 of them passed their practical examination. And they will go on and take their National Registry cognitive exam. Fingers crossed, that test is a bear, so we're gonna work with them, hope we get through. We'll get a few out of that, so. Yeah. For now.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Susan, you have anything? Okay. Sheriff's not here, I assume, since Tim gave his report.
Yeah.
Okay. Jason, you have anything?
We are having people first for the highway garage. Matthew Perry will be doing that for us. We have some just surplus things that we're going to get rid of. So, he's supposed to get Colleen here probably this week. He'll finish taking pictures, and we get everything advertised. Other than that, we're just cleaning up the day from the storm this weekend, Friday. The guys are out grading, so we're trying to get the grounds touched back up. Other than that, we're planning on starting our chip sealing, our paving in May, and doing a couple weeks of that, and then starting our chip sealing in June. And then we'll revisit our budget and see what we have.
That list that you sent, that you gave to us, you may just take the front couple pages then, just to send to the council, so they know what roads are gonna be touched this year.
Yeah.
Did they give you
that?
that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that's a nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
But, other than that,
Thanks, you.
if you guys don't answer, that's what's.
Thank you.
Health department, anybody here from health?
Jenny and Eric.
Okay.
Yeah. That's really everything. I just want to thank for approving mine and Eric's raise last month. Greatly appreciated. We have a great motivated team right now, and they're all excited. So I think it's a good move moving forward. So I just want to say thank you. Feel free at any time to stop in. We can give you a tour of our department and show you what we do.
Their new cooler that we begged for, that we kept quit working on, so.
It's less than a year old, so hopefully they'll be out on Friday, so hopefully it'll be for their warranty.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, take a. Not break.
Yeah, it's up to you guys.
I'm gonna talk about that later.
Okay.
Are you taking a break?
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a meeting.
So we don't know that we have to. And then here is. I was just. A brand new salt mill. Places back to the state. Yeah.
Colleen,
Yeah.
hey, Colleen. Hey, can you explain to me, can you tell me what, I didn't catch all the enterprise. Where are you going to get that? What are you going to do there? Hey, I'll call you when the meeting's over.
Okay, everybody's back in here, let's reconvene the council.
We're gonna, you know, something get an air conditioner on the day, today. And we're just running off the floor, isn't it?
Okay, so our public hearing for the economic revitalization area. And I will open the hearing at 10:04 a.m. and open it for public comment. Anyone like to make a public comment on our economic revitalization area?
I just have a few questions about the tax abatement that's proposed through that, and tax abatements on the next one. I guess I'm curious as to how
who's paying the property tax on that land? Is it solar people paying, or is it landowner and solar people, two people paying?
If I may, I'd love to answer that. So my name is Colin Snow, representative of Ranger Power, developer of the Crossville Solar Project, which is PRA and abatement and economic development agreements considered today. We're asking council to agree to that. So great question. The landowner would burn contracts with the landowners voluntarily. They're responsible for the taxes based on improvements to date. All new improvements as a result of the solar farm are ours to bear. That includes taxes on the equipment and everything that goes out there, which is the available portion of what we're considering today. So we want taxes on the solar arrays, fences, racking, all that.
Will that continue forever?
Continues for the life of the project. Yeah, there's a mechanism where it's kind of, we're on the hook for the year after. There's also, Indiana enacted a new, state law, last year, where, by having solar out there, it changes the set value of the underlying land. And that increase is also solar project there. That increase is not available. And so, we will be paying that. It's quite substantial.
How do you know how much of that is? These guys are, they work with,
Yeah. So, increase of about 19 million on our project. Sure. And so, as a result, should 100% abatement be approved as being considered here today, these taxes of the surrounding property owners would still decrease because of that increase in tax amount that we are paying into because of the increase in property value.
so my understanding is the property tax goes up, which is the landowner is going here. The local school still gets money out of that, right? Was they get money from the tax, from property tax, right?
Yes,
Yes.
because
So it's sort of not, so the landowner's part of that portion, and proportion of that is not going to affect the school workers at all.
right.
I mean,
I believe, I'm not sure exactly, but I believe the farmland's assessed according to the state at $3,000 an acre. But if it has solar panels on, the assessment goes to 19,500 an acre. So they're gonna be paying, but I thought the farmer was paying, but you guys are paying
We are paying that increase, so the farmer could see a basically stable tax payment.
okay,
Except if they own land around the project, or in Fountain County in general, in which case their tax liability will decrease as a result of the project. So the schools get the same amount, or the amount that the levies assessed, but the overall pool has a new source, and so other people surrounding property owners' taxes go down. Does that make sense? It's
these guys are, so
it's
I understand what you're saying, but I don't think they're gonna lower the tax rate because you're paying them on that market. So I understand what you're saying, so I have a question about abatements in general, because most of the abatements, at least what I'm hearing out there, have to do with people that are employing people. This is the portion from, I only got a couple free copies, so this is the thing, this is the piece of department you gotta put out. This is their requirement for tax abatements in Carmel. That's to do with employment. You can go through the whole series of whatever you want to do, how you want to do that. I guess a big question for me with the abatement, I know these guys, there's people sitting here and we're gonna pay taxes, okay, I'm pretty sure, for sure. And I know if you're gonna have an abatement, and my understanding is the counties, you're gonna give the county back part of that money so they can spend it.
Yes.
So these guys in the background are all for that money, you guys should be paying no problem with that, okay? But if you're gonna give these guys an abatement, I don't know, the 10 people I talked to in Fountain County, and nobody has agreed, that I've seen out there has agreed with the abatement. If you're gonna pay these guys abatement, I will abate them on my property too. Okay, on my business. Okay, so I am talking to anybody that's been positive about abatement. I don't know whether the project goes with an abatement, does that stop the project? I don't care what the landowner does with the land, I don't have any control over that. If he wants to put solar panels out there, that's fine, okay? But I don't think it's the greatest idea, but I understand that there's that opportunity is there, okay? But the way I look at it is,
I'm still gonna pay taxes, and then my tax money that I pay in somewhere is gonna pay their abatement, because that's where the money's. My opinion.
Yeah,
So. We own an 80 right in the middle of that, it's not a part of it. We don't want any part of it, I didn't buy it, I didn't buy that 80 for that reason. I wanted to farm. Why? What happens to that 80 as far as the taxes on it? Now, you're saying it should increase or at least stay the same?
well, it should decrease.
Okay. I'm about like Jeff on this abatement thing. There's. If the owners that are participating are getting an abatement, there's no reason why the surrounding land should not get an abatement.
The owners are getting the owners are getting the benefit of the contract with the solar company.
Right.
The abatement doesn't affect them. The abatement only affects them because we have higher assessed rates, which affects the levy, then when you have more paying, when it's spread out more, then the taxes for everybody else can go down, so that results in a tax reduction. But the county isn't in effect giving money to any of these landowners. That is all through their private agreements with.
Okay. So the solar company is going to absorb the tax difference between the assessed value with solar on it and assess that ag. And it jumped, what, 19? Jumped to
3,000 an acre to 19,500 an acre. But yours is gonna stay at 3,000 an acre.
I understand that, I understand that.
Yeah. That and the state sets that.
I just don't understand how much electricity is produced on 1 acre of solar.
On 1 acre, it's not much, and you know, it's basically, rule of thumb is typically about 5 acres a megawatt. I don't have a rule of thumb for how many a project like this creates power for about 30,000 Indiana homes. Try to do that math, but basically, you know, a few hundred homes off of 5 acres.
Say that part of the down.
Power gets, so the reason this project is viable and projects like it are viable, and the reason we're here is that there's economies of scale to where the power that gets put into the grid at the Petersburg substation then gets sold in bulk. And as a result, it's some of the cheapest power that's available on the market. So, you know, whoever the power buyer is, they're just buying it, not because of, you know, it's clean or renewable, really, they're buying it because of the dollar price. Which is inexpensive. Now, because of that, basically, those 200 megawatts get plugged into that substation and the electrons go onto the grid and they kind of flow. I'm not an engineer, as I'm sure you can tell, when I'm describing out, but this is how I understand it. And it sort of flows where the wires electrically don't conduct that electricity. So if anyone is tapped into in County, those electrons are going to go to them. You know, the power buyer, it's not necessarily Duke, it's, you know, whoever buys that power, you know, and they're an end user, and basically we're putting 200 megawatts on, and they're taking 200 megawatts off wherever they are. But the power goes, the electrons just go where those wires lead. So that's, and that's, you know, the power buyer considers that and it gets priced in. But it's a different model than like a community solar project or residential where you can really see where that power goes. Even though it's the same technology, the difference in model allows for that cheaper power, basically. This is the reason.
How cheap is the power, but I'm subsidizing you to put it in the price. My tax money from somebody federal, they're subsidizing you to do that.
We get very few subsidies. We get a tax credit, and you know, we get much less than competing levels of power like nuclear and coal. And we also you know, I mean, then other development uses as well. Now, with respect to the abatement structure, I understand that abatement, you know, oh, my God,
No, I'm just kidding.
You're good, you're good.
We're discussing years of abatement. I understand that abatement is often thought of in this, kind of jobs focused way. Here, because the county taxes, the structure in Indiana, County, the tax pool is capped. So for this project to go forward, with no abatement slash, it's important to mention the economic development agreement is part of that. Because then we're talking about a $250 million investment in the county, where the county gets no additional revenue without abatement. The abatement structure allows us to then turn around and hand, what we would have paid for some portion over the county over and above what they received as, as in the levies. And so while during that abatement period, people surrounding, residents, taxes, property taxes still decrease, there's also additional money for the county to use for infrastructure projects and things like that. We've heard talk about including roads in the area and things like that. And so that's kind of explicitly stated in the resolution today.
So how long does abatement, abatement last?
What's contemplated here is a big up to 10 years, which is, I think, the statutory limit. And then what? Then it gets assessed, and then we pay the full tax base. Sorry, I'll turn the whole way around. Yes, that's up to 40, but that allows us to let the project live the life that it's going to live, which is based on the sale of power. And when that's done, that's a contract for 20 years, 25 years. And when that's over, then we decommission the project, remove everything, and our cost. And then and different land and farmland. And we feel confident we can do that because of the nature of solar, which is that we're not pouring concrete, there's not, we plant the land in local grass and pollinators, and maintain drainage, maintain soil, water erosion, all the goal of having that land farmable. We're contractually obligated to that. We can hold that.
Well, you're gonna default now in years, that's the state. Because
So it goes into the property tax, yeah, it's assessed the same way everyone is, that's right. The abatement, economic development agreement allows this extra money to come into the county as opposed to all going through the usual levies. Which again means that people's tax will increase more in 10 years. But, then the county uses that additional funds for these projects that are possible.
So the way I understand what you're saying, tax abatement allows us to or achieve economic dollars for the county for 30 years. And that's sort of a gift from the state, because otherwise that money would be going to the state. Because we have a cap again.
That's right. So So if a $200 million investment's coming in and it just goes to the regular, school, for instance, wouldn't get more out of that, if they get the same amount.
My question for the council is, can I get a fix?
Don't sound like.
There's a whole section on abatements and it just depends on the nature of the business and what your
what
your request is.
Well, about Middle County here, okay, back on down the road, but you're penalizing local people. Because you're gonna get these guys are gonna, because they're dangling the carrot with money, I can't vote, and because I'm paying my time. So what's fair to me, what's to the resident about, I explain to you. Well,
But you want to know.
Yeah, a question up here.
I'm concerned with projects like this in turnover of the actual ownership. I've seen projects that have had multiple owners for the period of the contract. What happens to that? What happens to that project if the ownership changes? Has it changed since it started?
It's a great question, thank you. That is the whole structure. So I work for Ranger Power as a developer. Project, and every agreement, every lease, every permit, the permit we got, to agree to the setbacks and all those kind of requirements. And state, that's right, declination from the IURC declared jurisdiction, and now the abatement are all held under the Crossroads Solar LLC. Now, it is our intention to own and operate this project, we like the project, however, should some unforeseen event happen where somebody else takes ownership, they are bound by the rules of that LLC. Otherwise, the project is liable, and would be, in jeopardy, lose whoever a lot of money.
I have a question. So I understand then that the contract would then pass on to whomever the purchaser is, they are bound to follow the rules and
That's exactly.
everything set right here in the contract that they would have with the council.
And it would follow the land, so it's not that they could go do something outside of what any of these agreements are specifically in the footprint of that project, if that makes sense. And then when the project is done, that'll be talked.
But let's say you sell to Duke Energy, a public utility. Yes. How will they utilize in the domain? Have you? It's a great question. I'm sorry, maybe you can jump in.
Yeah.
I hate to have my back, I apologize. I'm Chris Wheeler. I'm a partner in the law firm of Hudson P. and Evans in Indianapolis. I know my face doesn't look like it, but I've been doing this for 25 years. I also worked for Indiana Municipal Power Agency, so I've been in Covington and dealt with the mayor a lot for a long time, still represent IMPA as outside counsel, and represent Crawfordsville and several other IMPA communities and worked with Kent. But the answer to that question is Crossroads is also a public utility in Indiana.
Okay.
But specifically because of the local concerns about eminent domain, what we will do is we will not have that authority that Duke has.
Okay, but if you sell to Duke, I mean, there's nothing in our contract here that I see that
Right.
addresses it.
Well, I don't think
And I
you need
don't-
it because we don't have it right now. If we sold the project to Duke and all they're doing is buying the power, they don't own the project anymore. Like they never owned it.
Gotcha.
They're just buying the product. So it's like if you're a
So that,
businessman and you're
they-
making widgets, they're buying your widget. It doesn't mean your business belongs to them.
we'll have no way to force their way through those stating.
No. And we would prefer, that's the structure that we are.
Does that help?
Yes, it did.
Okay, good.
We've got our assessor here. Do you have any?
I have a question. So the land
Yeah.
is totally not abated. Correct. You cannot
You cannot.
do the abatement on the actual property. So it will be assessed at the rate the state says, just so that's clear. Is this personal property abatement? Is this considered the panels, everything would be considered personal, correct? Is that how I take this?
Yeah, and maybe Chris can probably color it, but my understanding is anything we put out there, above the land and under, wires, everything is acceptable.
Yeah, business or no property.
Correct. And that's where you're getting your abatement from. That's what you're getting abated.
Correct.
Not,
Which is,
not on the land. Right, I'm saying it so it's clear to
Right.
people who are asking questions about the land.
and sorry, just to piggyback on what you were asking, you brought up the increase in the value of the land as a result of it being assessed as solar. Still, the bulk of our investment, our business expenses is that personal business property tax. And so that's why it's a significant tax revenue.
And it is not assessed state utility, correct? It's that how you.
I believe we still pay the public utility tax as well, just like you guys.
I don't really have anything to add, other than their assessment on their land does go up to $13,000 per state. And like I said, that does not get abated. Of the abatement.
So that causes the assessed value for the whole area to go up, which causes the tax rate to go down. That's why the property tax rate will go down, is because the increase in the value of the land.
Yes, I just have a really quick question. This is just something that I have read within the past week. Invenergy has a Grain Belt Express that is going to be in the Midwest, four states, including the state of Indiana. It's going to be 800 miles of transmission line. How do you feel that will affect your project?
Oh, man, I can't, well, I'll just say, it is contemplated as changing the markets in the states that it's going through. However, and this maybe I'll turn over this, there's still such an expected shortfall of electricity in Indiana, of electricity by consumers, that I think that the utilities, power providers, are all interested in electrons on the grid. They're, and I can, I'll head it over to you actually.
So, I also represent Invenergy. And what I'll say about that is Indiana is today, as we sit here, severely short on electricity. They're 3 gigawatts short. Every gigawatt is approximately 250,000 homes. By 10 years from now, we'll be 11 gigawatts short. So 250 times 11 is how short we are in power. And the problem is everything is retiring and we're not replacing those old coal plants as fast as we're building new power. What Greenbelt will eventually do is it will help bring power to Indiana, which will help with the deficit, which should theoretically reduce the cost of power here. The more you can bring in and the more competition there is, the more that depresses the local price for power. Does that make sense?
The only difference that I find with the Grain Belt Express is that the power stays here. It's not being sold on the market. That's the way that it's presented, is that it will heat and light homes here in the Midwest, including the state of Indiana. So is. am
That's
I
not correct. No, all that is a transmitter. That is not a generator of power. So the power will come from all different states. Could it also connect to a generator in Indiana? Yes. But all the generators in Indiana right now are already connected to the grid.
Right.
So it's intending to bring power from Midwest states, Iowa, Missouri, and others through to Indiana. But as we talked about earlier, you can think about the generation of power like a pitcher of water. Each place that generates power, like one's your sink, and one's your fridge water, and one's your fountain, on your hose outside your house. If I take a pitcher and I fill each one of those, one comes from a coal plant, one comes from the fridge, and that's a solar plant. If I take this and I mix it all up and make lemonade and pour out a cup for Kent, did Kent get some of that from the hose outside? Yeah. Did he get some of it from the other places that I collected the water? Yeah. Can I tell him by molecule or, energy molecule, which one he got from where? It's the same thing. It all gets mixed up on that transmission grid together for all different sources. So will this project end up in your community? It absolutely will. Can I tell you which electron ends up where with any level of precision? I can't. But that doesn't mean you don't get some of the power from the solar project.
I think Carol had a question actually.
The last meeting, Kelly brought up that there was wind farm that sold considerably less than what it was valued at, which would make the property taxes that they were paying come down. Could the same situation happen with solar farm?
Could, and part of the reason why is because local representative, Representative Nagel, from, I think he's up in Attica, has business up there, has paid specific attention to that and has crafted new legislation to stop that ever from happening again. That was a really odd situation. I think everyone's kind of surprised at, but long story short, that's not what we're contemplating today. Is one project, where we are building the project and then operating it and then selling the power to a power buyer like I do. And they buy the power from us kind of, as we're producing it.
And then there's a decommissioning, clause at the end, so then the project comes out.
And did her bill address Fort Farm too?
I think it's all renewable.
I think it was renewables, and I think it specifically dealt with sort of like an assess, I'm not that good.
I think it's an assessment.
I think it's an assessment after the fact. I think it was like about, they took it over without the power purchase agreement, so the power buyer having bought it, and that made that value decrease to that amount. But solar right now is a pretty clear, assignment that's not tied to the power purchase agreement. Whether the project gets built at all is tied to whether the power is sold, but not how it's assessed locally.
Is there any way of knowing who owns your company?
Yeah, I like. We're a small development shop, started by Adam Cohen and Paul Harris.
It's on the line, Carol, on the web.
Yeah, we have a website. Yeah. Ranger Power.
Chicago.
Yeah, exactly right.
That listed as a foreign LLC though.
It is a Delaware limited liability company. But we are based out of Chicago.
And then you're,
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Crossroads Solar is in Delaware.
Registered in Indiana.
Registered,
Yeah.
and we are.
and then your investors are
Our investors are the fifth largest.
capital venture investors, is that what they are?
They're the fifth largest owners of renewable energy assets in the country. Their business is renewables. They own wind projects and solar projects. We partner with them on solar. And they are good at owning and operating projects, and we are good at development. And so we have a good partnership. They're American, based out of New York. But yeah, they are capitalized to do renewable projects, not other projects.
So if carbon credits were available, I don't know what they would be, I don't know much about them. Do they go to the property or to
So
Power Ranger?
I cannot speak authoritatively on carbon credits. My understanding is that they are it's a marketplace that exists through farming, right? Through Farm Bureau, not Farm Bureau, the state maybe. But I'm sorry, I don't know much about carbon credits. They're not part of our business plan. I don't think you're eligible probably.
That's why I want to know what you do.
My understanding is through like seed companies and I don't know if anyone here knows about it. I don't really. It's not part of our business.
Question. This young lady has talked about the amount of electricity that Indiana is down. It needs more and more and more and more. What I've read and what I saw in charts was that solar was one of the least efficient of all of the ways that we can produce electricity. Why are we concentrating on solar? And I'm like, anybody that wants to have solar on their ground, that's absolutely their point that they can have it. I'm not disputing that. What I'm disputing is the idea that we're putting all this money into solar when maybe we ought to be looking at nuclear, as you said. I'm just really concerned about the validity of solar for the price that you're going to, for the amount of electricity you're going to get out.
It's a concern we hear frequently because a lot of times those numbers get thrown out without explaining how they come around. And what those don't, what the efficiency kind of number comes from is how much power it's producing every hour, of every day over 365 days. And the thing about solar is you can predict it, right? And so that's why it's appealing to the power buyers. They are buying power knowing that they're not going to buy it at night. It's not going to produce power at night. It only produces during the day. But the way that they use that power in their generation mix that incorporates coal and gas and hydro and whatever it is, means that there's kind of differing
things that affect those differing generators and prices and the ways to use them. And what they often move for is baseload power. So when in the day, when people are using power, they know that our project can produce 200 megawatts through the day. And then it turns off, and then they factor that into their grid. But that's a huge part of how they buy the power is that's factored into it. So it's a different structure of buying power than these other, like a coal plant where you turn a switch. But it's beneficial in that, as we discussed, that it's good to have generators from different kinds because then you have diversity and security as a result. So a storm comes by that for some reason affects the coal plant, it might not affect solar or the other way around. It's good to have different options. And that's why part of the reason, aside from the low price, that this power is attractive to buyers. But it's business, they factored it into their business plan. It's not, it's often thought of that this is some push or something for the clean energy, and that's a nice byproduct, but the real element is that it fits in well with the business of the power buyers. And especially the price. The price is the driver, and it being the cheapest form of power is really what gets bought.
Bill Crowder had a question.
Okay.
Yes. I have a question. If the county or the state has an ordinance on abandoned property.
Big picture of the state statute that the commission have adopted, which is, it's called the unsafe building law, but it applies to, it's very broad and applies to abandoned property.
And we also have a decommissioning agreement that is backed up with security, so if for some reason we were to go out of business and that didn't get cleaned up by us, it would be removed with the money from the financial assurance by a third party. That's our contractual commitment that's enforceable with a bond or, cash, whatever the financial assurances that will be done.
Third party being. The states, the landowners.
But you certainly.
They could do what they like, but they would have money for it set aside by us. I mean, it's their land. If you go back to it. That money, we'd be having to.
It's set
pay
aside
them.
first
Yeah.
before it can become
Yeah.
operational.
This is like a bond. This is just in case that happens.
Yeah,
Right. Now, if the decommissioning goes well, we don't access the bond, we can go do it on our expense. That's just, for that.
Can you describe chemical by chemical, product by product, what these solar panels are made out of?
I'm not, as I said, I'm not an electrical engineer, but the panels themselves it's the same technology that's been used for 20 years. It's silicate, aluminum, copper wiring. It's windshield glass around, encapsulated, that encapsulates the panels. It's typically a form of steel that's in the I-beams that holds up the racking. And the wiring is kind of the same wiring as in your house. So there's no new materials out there. And nothing, everything is solid, stable. There's no gases or liquids in the panels or as part of the project.
Okay. It's no big secret that the majority of these are produced in China. And do you have a guarantee in this county, in this state, that there are absolutely zero hazardous materials in the solar panels?
You're using tier 1 panels, rated by the EPA to go into a normal landfill. We're not using panels with toxic materials. We stopped by from China when they were accused of unfair trade practices, unfair labor practices by our government. And we have made a significant investment in American-made panels. We don't know what panels we're going to use until a few months before this goes in the panel market, being kind of, dependent on, well, a lot, but we will know closer to. However, we would love to use American panels for this project and all of our projects if possible.
Well, again, you use the term contemplating. Can you define that for me?
In which regard?
Well, you talked about the abatements and the entire project, and just the term contemplating. What does that mean to you?
That's what we want to do. We want to, well, first of all, we're gonna use tier one panels. So nothing, outside of what I just described. But then also, if the American manufacturers are producing panels, to the degree where we buy them for this project, that's what we want to do.
Okay, well. I don't know how final this meeting is. But if you're just simply saying, how is this true?
So that'll be in our testimony, that's under oath before the state utility commission. You have to tell them what kind of panels you're using, who the manufacturer is, how many there'll be, where they'll be located, how you're gonna decommission it. I mean, everything that we're talking about has to be in one testimony that I'll tell you, I won't put my name on unless it's true, right? And that would be approved by the state. And then, sir, if anything ever changes, the state would have to approve that as well.
I'm 73 years old. And been here. And my responsibility is my strength, longevity. People. I want to be secure. You talk about 25 years from now. Look around this room. There's just not a whole lot of us going to be here to remember anything you said. That is my concern, my responsibility to the future.
Absolutely.
So, okay, let's go another direction. Approximately, how many acres do you think your company will be covered in solar panels in the next 10 years?
So, we are restricted by the footprint, part of our permit. That permit contemplates a little over 2,000 acres. However, a project to make 200 megawatts will likely cover about 1,700 acres, and that is not all panel. That is sort of behind the fence line, and then the rows of panels are separated by about 20 feet, and all of that is planted with grass underneath. So it's less than a third of that 1,700 acres that would have a panel over it.
Okay, but that's just in the county, right?
That's just this project.
But it's in your entire company. Got the idea? And
I don't, I'm sorry, I don't have that figure. It is, we're a Midwestern based company, so it's over several states in the Midwest. You have a couple of projects.
But you're not currently going to do any other projects in Fountain County at this time.
We're all looking at that right now.
I think Bill is worried about that.
that's not.
You're worried about solar over all of the land.
That's the rule of thumb, farmer feeds 150. That's just in general, okay? So you're talking about this tiny county's got 2,000 acres. This thinks of the thousands and thousands and thousands of acres that are already covered and projected to be covered. So for every 2,000 acres that are covered, 150 people, in theory, are going to starve to death every year. Are you proud of that? Yeah.
I'm not sure I agree with that categorization.
You're not production agriculture. Yeah, that's about your money.
Could I? On the farm thing, sir, and my heart is in this as well. My cousin runs a family farm that's been our family since 1823 in Florence County. I hear you. And what I think my great grandfather would say, because he was a huge Republican, is he wants to keep that way of life, and it will stay, and I believe it will stay. As we've seen over time, the solar panels get more and more efficient, and they get smaller and smaller, and the footprint that they'll need over time will get smaller and smaller. But also, I think fundamentally, what my grandfather would say to me as a good Republican, he would say, it's my land, I can do with it what I want. It's my land, and that's what he would say to you, I think, but he'd say, if you wanna do your land with farming, that's okay. Doesn't mean everybody's gonna do it with someone, I don't think that. Yep. It's getting more of a concern.
Another point, Bill, approximately 48% of the Indiana corn crop goes to renewables already. That's what it is. 48%, the farmers are already participating in renewables. This is just a different form of renewable.
Yep, it took that production away. It took that production away that could go to ethanol or,
Well, when I say, when you talk about starving
yeah,
the world or whatever, 48%. And that farm approximately 40% goes to ethanol, renewables. It's a different one. Ultimately, it comes back to the fact is their land, you know, their choice.
The byproduct of the ethanol is DDP, which is an excellent livestock protein feed. So this, what all you're doing is having water to corn and making ethanol. You got the livestock feed. The byproduct, very, very good byproduct.
Okay, I'm making a point that farmers are, even they don't realize, contributing to renewables.
Well, absolutely. That's the best way.
Yep, yep. Okay.
Any other public comment? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the hearing at 10:46. So we have resolution 2023-3, confirmatory resolution for the establishment of an economic revitalization area, which was passed last month. We have to pass it 2 months in a row to move forward. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2023-3?
Then before we do this, is this a time for us to ask questions about it?
This agreement? No.
Yes. We want to wait.
Yeah, so we'll ask that on that.
Yeah.
This is on the resolution that was passed last month. We have to pass it a second. To move forward, to see, we won't even be
Right.
discussing really with this tax. So is there a motion to approve resolution 2023-3? I'll make the motion that we can bring it up to the vote. Is there a second? Okay. You have, okay. So we have to have a roll call from Jeff on Zoom. So on this resolution 2023-3, myself, I vote yes. Tom?
Yes.
And Dale? Yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Denise?
No.
Jim? No. And Jeff?
Yes.
So that approved, that passes 5-2. Okay, now we're on resolution 2023-5. Resolution approving rental and personal property tax abatement upon application by Crossroads Solar LLC.
That's number 5.
And it is 2023-5. Yes. So is there a motion to approve that resolution?
Motion.
Okay, Jeff, second. I'll second. Okay, roll call. Myself, yes. Tom?
Yes.
Dale? Yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Jim? No. And Jeff?
Yes.
Now we're ready for the agreement for economic development between Fountain County, Indiana and the Crossroads Solar LLC. You said you had a question?
I do. On the agreement, page 3, paragraph E and F, raising revenue and also how we can use that for the public and for the government of the county as well as for the public. What can we use that for? So E and F is what I'd like for you to address. Kelly, you had the same thing, and are we saying the right thing together?
Yeah, it says to me, or the way I interpret it is in section E, that these payments are bound and can only be used for certain things in the county. Not that I'm opposed to what they want to be used for, but it just feels like it puts the thumb on us on what we can use it.
Well, Kelly also was brought up a while ago, how we're gonna use this abatement money. You know, and another thing that comes up within this reading is that the abatement's paid off in 5 years. Colin, it's paid off in 5 years. What happens to that other 5 years? Is that in that 100%? Is that in that 100%? Am I reading that correctly?
That's right.
Was that 10 years?
So it's a 10-year abatement, right? And the payments come in the structure you've seen here.
Right.
That Jim helped negotiate, with us, over that structure, over the first 5 years.
See, Tom, eventually, or it was for 10 years.
Right.
Jim brought up the fact in negotiation, pay it out in 5 years, kind of get the money quicker. So it would have been out in 10 years, been less payments, same amount of money, longer, we wanted it quicker. They didn't.
Otherwise, you could have spread it out the next 10 years.
Oh, they could.
Whatever.
That's
So
what
we're
they
okay with it. Okay. But I'm looking at that, like I said, that next 5 years. I didn't want you addressing.
I mean,
But let's talk about because I thought that 7.8 million should be spent. However, the commissioners and the council agree on, like, we need a new ambulance, we can pay for it.
Yeah, it's basically-
And not have to charge the taxpayers for $300,000 for an ambulance.
So I used to represent a county too, Kent, please jump in, but it's basically any legal purpose is how I read this section, and Kent's nodding his head. So we hand over the money, as long as it's anything the county has authority to do, it is completely your discretion. We do not have any control over it. We make the payment. Now, it's just like any other fund. It's gonna be put in a separate special fund. You all will have to appropriate from that fund before anybody can spend for it. So it will be treated just like any other fund, but it doesn't have the restrictions that a lot of your county funds have to be used for specific things. As long as you as a county can do it, you can do it.
Okay, because I knew Warren County spent theirs from the wind farm on, they spent $1 million on their courthouse, bringing it up to date. They
Roads is a
spent it
big
on,
one.
on
Yeah.
broadband.
Exactly.
Putting $4 million out for broadband if they can get matching.
One thing we talked about was it could be that once the comprehensive plan is done, that might then help us to identify how we might want to use these new resources that come in from time to time, to the county. So we're not determining that ahead of time. The plan should help drive how we spend our money, just like our household budgets do.
Yeah, I'm concerned that we don't spend this like a drunken sailor.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's gonna be in a separate line item,
From a
correct?
separate line item, and both the council and the commissioners have to agree to, just like the art.
And that's a great thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
How much money are you talking about?
7.8 million. No, for the first, it's over 5 years. First year, I think it's 600,000.
But it won't start for a couple of years, right? It won't start until they start selling power to grid. Now, it'll be good probably. The first payment doesn't happen until they sell power to the grid. We do not get this money right away.
Yeah.
Either will be landing.
Right.
They don't get the partial at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then they don't get the rest of the money until.
Hey, I have a quick question. This just came to mind. And this is a contract agreement with the farmer and landowner and you guys. What happens in the instance that they get their crop planted, they pay, and it's on ground that they cash rent? So let's go there. It's on land that they cash rent.
I know that you reimburse for crop destruction. Do you reimburse their cash rent?
We reimburse for inputs, and so our contract is with the landowner. However, some landowners have negotiated payments directly to Cashman farmers. It's individual to the agreement. I will say that as a company, we are sensitive to, issues that come up, for Cashman farmers.
Because they
We
may
like
have
to-
fertilized and.
Make whole regardless,
Yeah.
but the underlying,
That's something we are very, we really.
we're not gonna leave anybody high and dry, that's not right.
Okay, thank you.
And sorry,
Just curious.
just back to this crowd point, you're exactly right. This money is there as a result of our revenue from selling the power. That's where.
I don't think everybody understood that.
It's, yeah.
Starting right away.
Yeah, because it can take up to 2 years to build out.
We are limited, I think, 18 months. However, a project like this typically will take about 1 year. And that's the case where we're.
But it is clear in the agreement on page 3, section D, in the middle, it says. For purpose of this agreement, the COD, the commercial operational date, shall be to the date that the project is commercially delivering electricity to electric grid, not including testing energy. So you read the agreement, it spells out in the agreement that there's no payment made until they're selling power.
Because until then, there's no revenue to pay you out of, right?
Same for the land.
Right.
Yeah, I just have to take this one, put it in plug, sorry. The comprehensive plan we talked about, that's the baseline. And 7 point, whatever it is, $8 million is great to spend. But I think what we can do if you were to go that route is, we can leverage it. And so you'll have a lot more than 720 when we're done with grant programs and so forth. We can also help the council come together and produce some plans that hit those two very specific projects. And so we do not decide what you do. It's the county's money, but we can help you manage that and then add all of those layers of coordination that you don't currently have.
Okay. Any other questions about the economic development?
I've been outvoted on the abatement, that's fine, that's the Republican project, I will vote for this stuff.
Okay, so are we ready to bring it up for a vote? Any, no more questions? Okay, is there a motion to approve the agreement for economic development between Fountain County, Indiana and Crossroads Solar LLC? Makes the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Dale second. Roll call vote. I vote yes. Tom?
Yes.
Dale?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
And Jeff?
Yes.
And Jeff, we appreciate you being on the call today when you're on vacation.
Yeah. Under the beach.
Hey, I do have a question for the commissioners real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Is there going to be a parcel that we're looking at selling off of the landfill?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, what's it going to be used for?
Solar panels for IMPA, town of Petersburg.
Okay, so it's going to be used for our purpose. For the county's purpose, basically, or town.
No, it's actually through IMPA, which is the power provider for Petersburg.
Okay.
If you go by Crawford's on 74, you'll see
Uh,
that it's.
yep, yep.
By the road, that's IMPA.
Okay,
Wayne Town, those
Right.
panels, that's IMPA.
okay,
Do the same thing, be about 10 acres of solar panels to help Petersburg with their power costs. At the end, it doesn't go directly into Petersburg, and we get the option to buy it back. And we get the option to buy it back if they ever sell it. We're first right of refusal.
okay. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Jeff,
Yes.
tell your wife we said thank you for allowing you to sit in on this meeting. And for the loss of time that you're having.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've been here a while, so it's fine. But hey, I'm getting ready to go see the Yankees play.
All right.
Commissioners, will be voting on that.
I think I need to vote on this.
How many development form has-
Okay. Right, President, bring it up to a vote. Can I get a vote to approve the agreement between the agreement for economic development between Fountain County, Indiana Cross Redwood LLC?
I'll make that motion.
And I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 2-0.
So you ready to close your meeting? I believe we've done everything on that. Oh, what, Carol, you have something? Sorry.
This resolution 2023-5, it says, real and personal property tax abatement. I consider what it would be the abatement on real.
Which one are you looking at? Well, the first two resolutions kind of create the ability to grant tax abatement. And resolution 5, their petition is was approving Crossroads Solar for personal property.
Yes, it does say on this too. We don't.
Is that-
What that land code section is for. The abatement too, and speaks that underlying documents you approved second and third are about the person.
That answer.
No real property tax abatement for the tax. Well, that's what the statute says. It's reading the document as a whole.
Okay. 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 So next council meeting will be Monday, April 10th at 9 a.m.
Yes, very quick. Okay, there's a proposed solar farm going in Northern Fountain County. We need transparency on those projects now. Between the planning commission, the commissioners, and the council, and the GMs. Right now, we need them in, we need to start visiting with them, we need to know the complexity. And then what they're
Want to do, and they were at a couple.
yeah, I should have.
Have they talked to you guys about any of them? Okay, you have liberty.
I mean, they don't have anything in, they haven't officially filed yet.
Well,
Yeah, that's fine.
I want them here, I want to know what's going on.
Great. Yeah, that's no problem. If you're glad to come on fair.
And planning commission, I mean,
Commissioners, council.
Okay. Anybody have anything else on the council side?
Attica fire territory, Jeff brought it up at the commissioners meeting. I went to the meeting as a Davis Township resident, and this is kind of something that the state has come down and said, in order to get more funding, you have to have a fire territory. And supposedly they are going to, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, hiring 3 part-time firefighters to be manned there. Is that
Correct.
correct, Jeff?
Correct.
So that may be an increase in some taxes.
It's not made, it was definitely proposed.
It was,
It's like 11% or 11 cents, I think.
Yes.
And it was 2 different levies. It was an operating expense and replacement levy is what they were set in stone if you read the document. I mean, it's combined around 11 cents.
Right, and then the rate,
It's
it's for Reed, Logan Davis and Johnny.
Yeah.
And I think that's something in the future that Fountain County, or every county is gonna have to face. These volunteer fire departments, they cannot find
They cannot
volunteers.
survive.
And they're gonna need more and more part-time people full time.
But-
A lot of your departments are going to the territory because of revenue coming in. The funding is just not there, you know, so that's the reason why, and then they're also looking at being able to put firefighters on staff, during a certain period of time. That goes along with what I've been telling you guys is, having another ambulance being available up there, because they respond a lot with us in that area. You know, when that ambulance goes out of town, there's a 2 to 3 hour turnaround time, which leaves the city of Attica vulnerable in that area. Why I've been kind of talking to you guys about getting a 4th ambulance up and going where we cover that. But a lot of your fire departments are going to the territory because the money is helping pay for firefighters being on staff and the trucks. We just bought a fire engine from August from the city of Covington. It was $550,000. And they're just going up.
Yeah.
Well, if you recall at our last commissioner meeting, I brought up next level. They're looking into getting some property, whether it's up in Attica or, you know, I mean, we have property there by the jail. That have the facility to train. You know, that's where we're headed. So there is grant funds available, that I think they're really trying to educate the counties into doing.
Another thing, I've already gotten 2 phone calls over the expansion of the high school. And people want to know how my taxes. So,
So just remember, that's a school thing.
right,
And they promised with that project that it wasn't going to go up. That also being said, there's maybe a funding deficit that they didn't foresee. So I think the school board is in some negotiations right now on what their next steps are gonna be. And if their next steps include raising more funds or raising that debt levy, then there could impose a tax increase for that school district. But that's all done in-house up there. And it's not been decided on, from my knowledge, of just an outsider being a little bit around it. But yes, there could be some tax increases coming there too.
Hey, Andrew, the feel do you get on the people around Attica on the fire territory?
Yeah, I haven't heard, I think a lot of people have maybe caught off guard a little bit and just lack of knowledge. I don't know if they also know the funding sources for the fire territory, but rural America has come to this scenario where funding is just not there. And I think if they understood the funding sources and what they're put up against, I think they would understand a lot better, and it's gonna become a norm. Mike is maybe a little bit ahead of his time in the area for the rural America, but I think it's coming more and more across rural America. So I think you'll see it more and more.
Okay.
Yeah. No one wants taxes to go up at all, but I don't know that you're gonna have to burn out either.
yeah, I think that. Davis Township, from what I, because we're kind of unique out there, we get serviced by Tippecanoe County and Mountain County, so I think the consensus out there is we're asking to be,
Sure.
you know.
And
Because my insurance man thought it was great that we had a tanker trailer that we keep water in at our house, so.
I'm sure you did. Hey, Jan, I also wanted to tell you, there's probably one that might even hit before the one up north. Just north of this one, I think they're on Liberty, one landowner. No. No, they're not, but the reason it goes so swift, it's only one landowner.
Yeah, that's some questions about legal training. Okay.
But I can reach out to them too.
Yeah.
They reached out to us once, but because it's only one landowner, it's gonna go quick.
I think it's the same size.
Yes, well, yes.
Yes, it was, you know, it's with the GNAS or that.
No, it's Liberty.
Oh, Liberty.
They're out of Canada. That's all we know.
The land in Petersburg next to the landfill, that's a done deal.
They're doing environmental on it right now. I wouldn't say it's a done deal.
Sign the purchase agreement.
Yeah.
10 acres.
How did they find it?
So is this still a county land, the council doesn't,
No, IMPA is a municipal.
okay, like the jail,
Yes.
since it's one of the city.
And it would be, it's $10,000.
10,000, or no, it's 60,000 for 10 acres, so, but we get first right to buy it back. And it's land is,
Right.
oh, that rock pile, that had to be done anyhow, and I've sent the paperwork to them. And I think they're gonna assist with that. That's just where their right of way was gonna go through, right, Roger?
Yeah, that's our pile. That was on us to clean anyways.
Yeah, that was our mess from years ago.
We'll just be lucky.
Drums and tires and trash and stuff on us.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, can we get an invitation from Mr. Snow? It's the order of that is being struck.
It was our, but you will first invite, they absolutely right.
and then Maple Corner, where in the world are we at?
Oh, yeah, so Cameron Starnes reached back out. He didn't know if he wanted to work with you, work with us to help write the BOT.
We can talk about that.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay, or if you want to handle it, it doesn't matter. Systems, it doesn't matter. That's really, I think architectural wise, we're to a very close point to be kind of settled in to get a plan put together and get that part advertised.
Okay, so if that being all, can I get a motion to close the commission side of the panel or meeting?
Wait, that motion, contract, other.
Is there a motion to adjourn the council site? All those in favor?
I'm done.
Yeah.